Hello, everybody. Welcome into Perspectives. I'm Sam Jones, and it's good to have you with us today. Before we meet our first guest, a little something I want to pass along to you because it's important that you're aware. This is a turbulent time right now in our country, and we have all eyes have been focused on the hurricane and the damage it's caused, the death it's caused, everything that it's caused and continues to cause. You're going to be covered up with requests for money. So let me just tell you some do's and don'ts before we go any further. If you get an email that says send your money to us, we'll make sure it gets to the Red Cross. Just hang up. That's not the Red Cross. That's not even money that'll go to the Red Cross. What you want to do as soon as you hang up is call the Red Cross and say, how can I donate? So the money goes directly to you. They'll get involved. Second, if there are any questions about how do I help, and I don't know what to do, I don't want to go through the Red Cross, perhaps, I don't know, call your church, your synagogue, or your mosque. Talk with them, because I promise you, they'll have all the trails of where to go, how to handle it, and what's best to make sure your dollars go where they should. This is very important you know this, because there are folks already hard at work right now trying to divert your money or the money of any American that's watching television at this hour to their pockets. So please be careful. Now, let's get down to the business at hand, meet our first guest of the day, first victim, if you will. We begin with Stephen Pyle, who's Executive Director of the Common Good. Stephen, good to have you.
It's good to be with you.
What is the Common Good?
The Common Good is a community center out in northwest Tulsa. We operate about a 33,000 square foot community center, and we host programs throughout the day for the neighbors out there. So we have after school programming, we have programs that focus on senior adults and sports and recreation. But our mission out there is really to provide resources, services, enrichments to a neighborhood in Tulsa that is often under-resourced. We've got a lot of low-income families out there. And so our goal is really to raise our hand and really support them and walk alongside them.
That's the zip code 74127?
It is, yes, sir.
And that encompasses a large area, which surprises me because I had no idea that entire segment of the population was in such dire straits.
It's interesting, and the zip code often refers to itself. They've named themselves often the forgotten zip code, and the reason for that is, we operate in this area that's just about 3.5, 4 miles straight west of downtown, and it's right between downtown Tulsa and Sand Springs, and it's often overlooked. You can go right down 412 and miss it if you don't catch an eye, but it's home to about 15,000 residents. And we've been out there serving that community for about 6 years now.
I'm assuming that you're also telling me, without saying it, that we're also talking about food.
We are.
It's essentially a food desert, isn't it?
It is, and we've surveyed the community a number of times, and the thing that comes up every time we talk to community members, and it's with a bullet, is the number one need is food. Food access. There is no grocery store within the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. In fact, we operate in an abandoned grocery store. A grocery store went out of business in 2017. We operate in about half of that space to facilitate programming throughout the day. But our big goal, one thing we'd love to do with the remaining half of that square footage, is bring in a grocer, because that is still the primary need of residents.
How far from that are you?
We are getting closer every day. We've begun to build some partnerships to help us move towards that goal, to build some funding to help us move towards that goal, and there's a real excitement in that area, because that is, like I said, that's the big need. Our neighbors don't have a current grocery store within a 5-mile radius of them. So,
really?
Right.
Is that common in Oklahoma?
It really isn't. I mean, especially when you get to Tulsa. I think for most folks, if you think about where you live within the city or within the suburbs, there's a grocery store within a mile or two of you. If you can certainly drive there, if you had to walk, you could. But I can think oftentimes where different spots in Tulsa where I've lived where there's 3 or 4 grocery stores within a couple square miles of me.
It's pretty scary when you stop and think about it. I'd be curious to know what do you have to offer, and where did you get it?
We recently have been partnering with Ascension St. John, and we've worked on a couple projects with Ascension St. John over the last few years, and they came to us summer of 2024, and really we began to have serious conversations about what this might look like. Their goal is to really support health equity and health outcomes in the neighborhood and really throughout the city. And we said, hey, the number one needs a grocery store, and they were the first to step up and say, we would like to help fund this. And so really our goal now, I mentioned we have this existing space within our community center, is to build out a grocery store. We've worked with some other philanthropies and even some folks at the city of Tulsa to begin looking for an operator, someone who can really run this grocery store and make sure that it's sustainable and a resource for the community for years to come.
It seems to me like in this, and I'm not trying to get political here, but in this day of cancellations and resignations, people working in towers to direct airplanes in and out, going without salaries. The military, I think, is going to be covered, but only in this country, not in other countries. You're fighting an uphill battle here, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's been tough. This dream was first envisioned about 6 years ago when we started. When we first opened, we thought, hey, we'll have a community center, we'll have a grocery store, and it'll be this great community hub. And it took us about 5 years to just begin getting some traction. And it's still a long process ahead, but I would say really over the last 6 to 8 months, we're beginning to see it take shape, and we're beginning to see this turn into a real possibility.
Okay. I suppose that begs the question, there have to be other pockets in Oklahoma facing such a need.
There are, and especially when you begin to look at more rural communities, there are food deserts throughout the state that suffer. And so we operate in one, and we're super adjacent to downtown, right? You could throw a rock from downtown and hit us. So, but especially in a lot of those rural communities, you'll encounter some food deserts.
Well, a tip of the hat goes to St. John, of course.
Absolutely.
And the good they're doing, and the folks who work quietly and privately in the background. What do you need?
We need support. This will soon launch, probably in the coming months, a capital campaign to really help build out the grocery store. And with that, we'll be releasing kind of our viability plan. We've got market studies to show that this is something that can be profitable and sustainable and a well-run business for years and years to come. But what we need is community support behind this. So that's what we're working on now. We need support around the city and continue to help us push this boulder up the hill.
And you wouldn't turn down outside help, would you?
Absolutely not. No, sir. We love bringing in supporters, volunteers, bring your expertise. We need all the help we can get.
I want to thank you for taking time to visit with us. I want to thank you for what you're doing, because I would urge you folks at home, go to your refrigerator tonight, and as you open it, think about the children. That's where the heartache really, that's hurts. And we've got to take care of those kids.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on today. It's been fun to talk with you.
We'll do it again?
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to hold you to that. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with Main Street Muskogee, and we're going to make a name change right after this.